You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
I feel like there's one thing which I guess over the last few years has dominated not just NFL news, sports news, but global news, and that is fake news. And the Dolphins kind of had some fake news this week, allegedly. The person who said the fake news doesn't really know if he said it or not. It's been an absolute mess. So to delve into all of that, as always, is myself and Mr. Charlie Touche. Charlie, tell everyone what time it is.
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and official affiliates of Fanatics, where you could be a fanatic of your favorite franchise. Yeah, man. Got a lot of stuff in the Twitter spaces and X spaces and Dolphins media spaces. What's up, Tim? How you doing?
Yeah, so you said what's up, Tim, and then
that was a little. I caught that. Audio listeners like, oh wait, Kadeem goes by Tim, but Tim Carroll's in the comments. I was saying what's up to him. But yeah, Kadeem, that's what we got going on. A lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, I feel like one thing kind of I wouldn't say dominates everything, but kind of like ties things together, and that's the Kendall Lamm quotes. Me and you kind of spoke off air about where to start, and my thinking was Kendall Lamm simply because what he allegedly said was about the culture in Miami, in the locker room as a team, and the fact that what he said kind of links to what someone else was saying a few days ago. The whole thing's a mess. So for those who haven't seen it, Kendall Lamm, who was meant to retire after leaving the Dolphins, but ended up joining the Eagles, the current Super Bowl champions. Was it 3 Super Bowls in 2 Super Bowls in 3 years? I'm just finding so here's the quote which he allegedly said. I understand why the Eagles reached 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. This is a full quote. Basically, he speaks about players are never late, never toxic, and kind of says at the end of every training session, they kind of spend like 50 minutes together talking about, what's troubling them and all that kind of stuff. Fast forward a few days, and Kendall Lamm posted a video saying, I don't remember saying that, and I have nothing bad to say against the Dolphins, which is odd because if you don't remember saying it, then you didn't say it, but he doesn't kind of say it with his chest. Charlie, what do you make of everything Kendall Lamm allegedly said or didn't say?
So we got a couple group chats, and that me and Kadeem are in. There's a couple, and we talked about actually creating a group chat for the listeners, and maybe we could interact and do something like that. But even in the group chats, I think we have a funny relationship, Kadeem, because it's like we still podcast, but we don't want to spoil the shows outside of the podcast, outside of recording, right? So even in the group chats, there's still it's minimum discussion between myself and Kadeem, and then everyone else chimes in. But when we seen this Kendall Lamm thing, it wasn't out of the ordinary. It's not new that a disgruntled player, not saying Kendall Lamm is disgruntled, But it's not out of the ordinary that you see a player leave a team and then he'll talk highly of the new team that he just went to and kind of downplays the team that he just left. That's not old news. What is at the centerpiece of the discussion is that there are more players that have been on the outs with the Miami Dolphins, i.e. Tyreek Hill. I'm out, bruh. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And then Jaylen Ramsey actually demanding the trade, and not even that camp, not even in the state of Florida. You know what I'm saying? He's gone. I'm out of here. So when you hear something like this come out, it's like, okay, well, it's believable. Shout out to, well, no shout out to this guy, but Omar Kelly was like, all you had to do was make a couple clicks and then you could have found out it wasn't real. And because there's another player who said the exact same quote a couple weeks ago or something like that. Cool. That's cool work. My thing about the Kendall Lamm stuff, when everyone was trying to figure it out, hey, dang, he said this? I was like, I don't see why, like, I could see someone saying this. You know, like, okay, the Dolphins culture is not the Miami Heat's culture. It's not the Florida Panther culture. Like, it's, I can understand. Even James Daniels, Kadeem, came brand new guard on the team, came in and said, oh yeah, this coach is different. It's not as strenuous as the Pittsburgh culture. Like he kind of took a shot at us and didn't even know. Like we caught some shrapnel off of that. And he's on the team still. So this Kendall Lamm quote is not far-fetched. Here's what got me, Kadeem. It got to this window when everyone thought it was fake, or is it real? Is it fake? Is it real? And Kendall Lamm actually made an IG live, and he was driving in his car, two-part IG live, was driving in his car. And he said, I'm prefacing what he said. And he said, hey, yeah, everybody was sending me this quote and I didn't understand where it came from. And I heard it. And I don't recall saying it. I don't have nothing bad to say about the Miami Dolphins. And everybody knows I'm good with the Miami Dolphins. I love them and this and that. So about this quote, he talked us up real good. I ain't gonna lie, he talked us up. But about the quote, yeah, I don't recall saying that. And another thing, I love both my teams. I love both of them, whatever. Kadeem, you said he didn't say it with his chest. My thing is, bro, how you not recall something so, like, damning? Like, this is a shot that you hit a whole organization with that paid you millions of dollars. You could hit them at, you made an IG post, you could come out and say, nah, I ain't say that. Because if you didn't say it, it kind of sounds like you thought it because you don't recall saying it, or maybe I didn't say it or not. Am I tripping, Kadeem? Because he did not say it with his chest. He didn't come out and unequivocally, that was the word I used. You did not unequivocally deny this.
So Lamm said, when it comes to this article that's being sent, or an article that's published, unless I just completely forgot doing this, it had to be misconstructed or taken out of context, because I have nothing but most respect for everyone in Miami. And that's I'll say it again, it had to be misconstructed or taken out of context. And for me, that's, you said something, it just probably wasn't this bad. But funny enough, I don't even think what he said was that bad, because I'm pretty sure if you've gone from Miami to Philadelphia,
hold on, to be clear, what we thought he said, because he didn't say it, remember?
Yeah,
so yeah. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Yeah. If you've gone from the Dolphins to Philly, even if you're there for a day or two, the chances are, people aren't being late, people aren't quite as toxic or whatever. It's at this point, I feel like it's a fact that the Dolphins have a very chilled locker room. And it's probably why they are where they are. And it starts from the top. And that's not me saying that Mike McDaniel is a bad head coach or anything like that. But we've discussed this on this podcast multiple times. The Dolphins went from strict military regime in Brian Flores to super chilled. You know, you're with your dad and not your mom this weekend, so you can do whatever you want. You can stay up late. You can play Xbox until 2 a.m. eating Doritos and and drinking Kool-Aid. Like they've gone from one extreme to the other. So if you go back to another strict regime, then people aren't going to be late. But no, my opinion is Kendall Lamm said something to the effect of it's different, it's not that good in Miami, but I love it there, and I'm grateful for the chance they gave me. And someone has spun it into what they accused him of saying, and he's gone, "Hey, I didn't say that. Whatever I said has been taken out of context." It's like, you said something. We ain't stupid.
You think I knew I wasn't tripping because I'm like, hold on, bro. Like that's not something. That's not. You didn't stand on that. You didn't say it with your chest like my dog Kadeem said. And to go with what Kadeem just the little analogy you gave us, when you go from eat all your vegetables to you can have ice cream for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? There's no medium. You know what I'm saying? So now you got Flores and then you got McDaniel. But then you got winners. You like, as much as I don't appreciate what Jaylen Ramsey has done and is doing, a tiger cannot change its stripes. I almost said a lion can't change its stripes because I just woke up and I'm not all the way here yet. But a tiger cannot change its stripes. And Jaylen Ramsey has shown you time and time again, I just want to win and I want what I'm worth. That is it. If you let him fleece you, Miami, and pay him 2 seasons in a row, like Xavier Howard did. By the way, we got another scumbag cum laude this year. We graduate. Somebody graduated, and this might be the 3rd consecutive season. You know what I'm saying? We might have to go look for scumbags next year just to make this an ongoing thing. But you let Xavier Howard do it, and now Jaylen Ramsey has done it. And Tyreek did it too. But the reason why I say I don't appreciate what he's doing and what he did, but I understand. I'm a winner. All I want is to win and make money. Who can be mad at that, Kadeem? Like, for real, bro. Who can be mad at winning and making money, bro? Like, look, I want what I'm worth, but I also want to win. Now, that sounds like a whole podcast where I could actually debate both sides of that. But Tyreek has come out and said, "Yo, I'm gonna try to go get Jaylen Ramsey back on the team." Do you think it's possible? Is it possible that Tyreek can convince Jaylen Ramsey, bro? Ain't many trade partners out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's on the way to July, past the June 1st, line that we were waiting for you to get traded with or on. Yo, just come back, run it back one more year. What's up? Is it possible, Kadeem?
It's possible, but I don't think it will be Tyreek Hill twisting Jaylen Ramsey's arm. I think it will be other team saying to Ramsey, we aren't going to force the Dolphins to trade you. Like, Ramsey, you've done your bit, but we actually don't desperately need you. We would like you, so we're going to offer the Dolphins a 4th and make them pay off your contract. What we aren't going to do is increase our offers. We made our offers to Miami. If they say no, hey, you're stuck in Miami. Or I think right now he's in Paris, training at Paris Saint-Germain, the football team, or for American listeners, the soccer team. So I don't think it will be Tyreek Hill persuading Jaylen Ramsey. I think it will be the rest of the league telling Jaylen Ramsey, you aren't as nice as you think you are, and we aren't foolish enough to give up what we aren't foolish enough to give up what the Dolphins want and then pay you what you want. So we'll see you when you're a free agent.
I'm not gonna lie, Kadeem. We had an episode when we were talking about Touche's 24, Asante Samuel Jr., Stephon Gilmore. There's another corner that we were talking about.
Rasul Douglas.
No, there's another one. I can't remember who it was. Jair Alexander. You know what I'm saying? Like, before he went to the Ravens. And all through that episode, I may have mentioned it, but I was thinking the entire time. Best case scenario is Jaylen Ramsey just comes back. That's it. That's the best case scenario. Jaylen Ramsey comes back and plays safety, by the way. That is the best case scenario. Jaylen Ramsey comes back and is moved to safety because I could trust Jaylen Ramsey back there, and you just put him over the top, and you have some corners that you don't trust so much. But now you have a D line that is really wants to get home, and it allows the safety to play like free because now the quarterback's under duress, and the safety could come up with some picks. This would be a Pro Bowl caliber season for Jaylen Ramsey if he plays safety with the D line that we have. So that was my thought. And then if you add one of them boys at corner, I'm bought in all over again. I'm not Kadeem. If Jaylen Ramsey is retained and moved to safety, and then you add one more corner, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid all over again. Give me all the Kool-Aid. Like I know I've been pretty reserved this offseason. Like, I'm not getting excited. I would get excited all over again if that happened. And it'll be wrongfully excited. But by the way, I need to mention that. And I've said numerous times on this podcast, you know what? Let's take a time out, Kadeem. Let's take a time out. We'll come back and say what I've been saying a bunch of times on this podcast.
Still listening? Then you're one of us. Got a day one Dolphins fan you know who hasn't found Go Time Dolphins yet? Put them on. As you're rocking with the show, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and drop a comment on your favourite podcast app, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. It helps more Phins fans find the pod and keeps the community growing strong.
So you were saying?
Shout out to the great Phins fan. He says, yo, and shout out to Go Time for real. Shout out to you, great Phins fan. Kadeem, I've been on this podcast loud on this podcast saying Tyreek Hill's not going to be a Miami Dolphin week 1. He's not going to be a Miami Dolphin week 1. I'm starting to feel like he's going to be a Miami Dolphin week 1. I think I'm wrong about that. I think I'm wrong about Tyreek Hill not playing for the Dolphins this year. I'm trying to find a place where I can be happy about Tyreek Hill on the Dolphins. Not just happy, and I'm trying to look at like a vantage point of take your emotions out of it. Are we good? Are we better than a 9-win team? We had 8 wins last year. Tua missed 6.5 games. Are we that team? Like, I need to know. I honestly need to know, because what we seen was when Tua played, McDaniel just cannot make the adjustment. It seemed like the rest of the league caught up to the Dolphins, and they were on to us. Jaylen Ramsey was less than 1,000 yards for the first time in his career, I think. My bad, Jalen Waddle, and then Tyreek was 1,000 yards for the first time. Second time I think in his career, with not getting 1,000 yards. So I'm like, hold on, is it Tyreek's is done? Tua ain't it? Or the rest of the league caught up to McDaniel and we suck again? I need to know what it is. And something tells me, nothing tells me that. But something tells me we might just be a 10-win team. And we're going to beat up on poor teams and lose the good teams. Something tells me that. And then, Tyreek will have over 1,000, maybe not 1,700, 1,800 like the past 2 years with Tua healthy. But what does it mean if Tyreek is a Dolphin and he does play on this team? Because he's talking a lot of stuff in the media all over again right now, Kadeem. And I will get to that in a second. But what does it mean if Tyreek Hill is a Dolphin?
Not to move it along, but it means nothing if the offensive line doesn't stay healthy. I think this team is going to live and die by the offensive line. If you have a healthy offensive line, it allows, or it would hopefully allow, Devon Achane to have a good season. And a good Devon Achane season means that defenses can't stack the box, because if you stack the box, you're going to allow Jonnu Smith, Tyreek Hill, and Jaylen Waddle to eat. And if you don't stack the box, then you're going to allow Devon Achane to eat. So a Tyreek Hill led Miami Dolphins is a good team, but it's only a good team as long as the offensive line can do what it does. And if we're being totally honest, Charlie, none of it matters if Tua goes down. again, that's the main thing. This team is going to live and die by the health of, I want to say, 3 guys, and those 3 guys are Tua, friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson. I know that's it, because actually no, and I guess any other offensive lineman. The moment you see Liam Eichenberg in this team and another backup, this team can't survive. So it's a long-winded way of me saying, as I just said, Tyreek Hill will be a great addition. He looks as quick as as ever. He seems happy. Whether he's actually happy, who knows? But as we've seen time and time again, if it's not Tua feeding in the ball, it doesn't really mean much for the Miami Dolphins.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't buying. I don't like the skinny Tyreek. I don't like the slim. I lost weight Tyreek, and one hit might take me out. Tyreek. I don't like this. I need the short, wide, dense version of Tyreek. I don't like this little version of Tyreek. That being said, he did call out the Buffalo Bills and call them the B word. Like Buffalo's a bunch of B words, and all they do is play cover 4 on us all the time. That's all they do. And I ain't gonna lie, a lot of teams do that, and they're afraid of us. It's respectable. So shout out to everyone who says Dolphins is trash and Tua is trash and we can't do X, Y, and Z, but the rest of the NFL respects us and they play us accordingly because of it. So we can't be that trash if the rest of the league knows, hey, we got to look like punks out here and play this shell cover 4 if we want to beat the Dolphins. That's a respect factor right there. Does that mean, Kadeem, because this was part 2 of a previous question, does McDaniel make the adjustment? Or are we going to see a bunch of dink and dunks? Shout out to 49-year-old Chad Pennington. Happy birthday to Chad Pennington from Go Time Dolphins. But are we going to see a Chad Pennington type of offense where it's just underneath, short, accurate dink and dunks all the way down the field till we win games? Or are we going to see the explosive, you know what? McDaniel figured it out. Here comes Waddle with 1,400 yards and Tyreek with 1,700 yards. What Dolphin offense are we going to see?
Again, I feel like that's I'm not trying to absolve McDaniel of any blame because, as you said, I say teams figured out the Dolphins. Teams played either 2 high safeties or, cover 2, cover 4, all the technical stuff. But at the same time, when Tua's healthy, the Dolphins still kind of found ways to win. Now, we can obviously debate whether that's Tua getting it done or McDaniel getting it done. But I still think for the most part, a Tua and McDaniel partnership, it works. And it's interesting because Teron Armstead has been doing a lot of media recently, and he was asked about the narrative that the Dolphins can't win in the cold. And he said kind of what we've been saying. It's not that they can't win in the cold. They just can't beat good teams. They play good teams in the cold and they lose. So, yeah, to go back to your question, can McDaniel figure it out? McDaniel needs to figure out how to keep Tua healthy. And if he can keep Tua healthy, I'm pretty sure we'll see the same thing that's happened for the past decade plus. The Dolphins will beat bad teams, just about lose to good teams. They'll get smacked by the Bills at least once, smacked by the Ravens, and sneak their way into the playoffs and lose in the wildcard round. That's my prediction. If Tua stays healthy, McDaniel will keep doing McDaniel stuff.
Teron said made his rounds. He said a whole bunch of stuff too. And when you said he said what we said, I thought he was going to say build the freezer because I still think we need that freezer. Like everybody else figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Like the Panthers have ice. They have a home stadium with ice in it and a practice arena with ice in it. The Dolphins need to figure it out. I'm like, yo, how can we get a dome, a little practice facility where fans are not allowed, the media is not allowed, and we just play frozen football in this facility? It's
not about building a freezer. It's about complaining to the NFL enough that they play all your cold games in September when it's not freezing. Because the same way Buffalo couldn't figure out how to play Sundays at 1 p.m., the NFL just moved their schedule. Bro. So the Dolphins complain and say, hey, it's too cold for us to play.
Bro,
All good.
Buffalo, the NFL is trying so hard to make Buffalo like this Super Bowl contender. So hard to make them the media loved football team. They handed Josh Allen a unwanted, undeserved MVP. I don't know how a quarterback has 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. I think that was the stat line. And 4,000 yards passing. I could be wrong about the 4,000 yards. Yeah, I'll put that out there. But I don't know how a quarterback does that. And then somebody else wins with less than that. I don't know. I don't know how that's done. Like maybe that team didn't make the playoffs. And then all right, well, his team didn't make the playoffs and he had those stats. But no, his team did make the playoffs. Talking about Lamar Jackson. That was wild to me, bro. So here's my thing. Shout out to Coach Eric Smith. Gotta have you on. So here's my thing. The Bills schedule is set up. It's the way they set up the paper plane schedule last year when they thought Aaron Rodgers was gonna be prime time. They gave him all the prime time games, all this good stuff. And now the Bills got that same treatment. No tough Florida games in the heat, all the layup games. It's far-fetched for the Dolphins to ask for that. Hey, can you not schedule us in the cold weather? Nah, I think it's time, Kadeem. We have to be the first professional football team to actually build a facility like a stadium, a practice facility that's a freezer. Like, all these Chipotle's and Chick-fil-A's and all these fast food chains, they have freezers where forklift drivers drive in freezers and they put on these suits, these cold suits and masks to go get the food out the frozen freezer. The Miami Dolphins could put grass in that freezer, suit up, and go to practice in those freezers. And that's what I think that the Dolphins actually need to do.
But like we had that conversation before, it's for the one game every 5 or 6 years, whether it's like freezing cold. Because again, that's what it comes down to. It's like
no, it's not the freezing cold. It's the games below 40. The games below, the games below 45 degrees.
And roughly how many times a year are you going to get that? Roughly.
Guaranteed 2 a year. But
which is
it'll be a Paper Plains game or a New England game or a Buffalo
game. Hold on. So
or a Ravens game late in the year.
Hold on. Guaranteed 2, and you said Buffalo and who else?
Paper Plains.
Paper Plains. Has 2 lost to the Paper Plains since he came to the league.
Oh, we talking about below 40 though.
But you said it's guaranteed.
Yeah, it's gonna be a guarantee of two of these.
But that's what I'm saying. Two has played Buffalo. Sorry, 2 has played the Paper Plains at their stadium and hasn't lost. So
okay.
either he's done it in that cold conditions, or it hasn't been that cold and it's not guaranteed.
But here's my thing though: there's still gonna be that game in the first round or second round of. Matter of fact, the entire playoffs is in cold weather. Now you just gotta hope not to play one of those teams. Why would you want to take that risk and know? All right, look, even if we got no cold weather games at all on the schedule, like we do the Buffalo, we pull a Buffalo, we complain, we get all our cold weather games moved. They adhere to our request, and we don't have not one cold weather game. Guess what, Kadeem? If you don't win a division and get home field advantage throughout, you're gonna have to play on the road somewhere. So now you still have the most important game of the season. It's going to be a cold weather game. So you telling me it's not worth it for that one game to practice in the freezer?
I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it goes back to what the conversation we had before and what Tuan Arm did, which Eric Smith has also pointed out. The Dolphins don't have a cold weather issue. They have a good team issue. Be it hot or cold, the Dolphins just can't beat good teams. So I completely understand that you build this freezer for the off chance you play in.
I don't think it's an off chance.
But again, this is where we strongly disagree, because those games that have been really cold conditions, they're like, oh my days, how are you playing it in this weather? They've been against good teams. I think that's like a fact. And in cold weather games against bad teams, the Dolphins have no issues because they're bad teams, aka the Paper Plains. Or if you have to go to New England and Tua's playing, there's no issues because Tua gets it done. He just can't get it done against good teams. But that goes back decades because the Dolphins just can't beat good teams.
Let me ask you this, Kadeem. The Miami Dolphins last week, maybe not even a week ago, was practicing with the slip and slide. And a lot of teams do this. This is common practice where you bring out the slip and slide, get the fireman hose over the shoulder, and you spray the ball, spray the ground. Everybody's sliding all over the slide and diving on the ground to try to get the fumble. Why are you doing that?
Because I've been to Miami and it rains in Miami. So you can be in a city where it's super, super hot, but you're going to get that 5 minutes of torrential downfall. And that happens no matter where you go. It rains everywhere.
So you're saying you're practicing in the conditions is what you're saying. That's what I heard you say.
No, you didn't hear me say that. I'm saying you're practicing in something that happens 24/7. It is not freezing cold 24/7. It's just not. And again, the Dolphins don't have an issue playing in cold weather. They have issues playing good teams in cold weather, but they also have an issue playing good teams in warm weather. So what do you want to do? Build an even hotter building for when Buffalo comes to Miami?
No, what I want to do, Kadeem, is practice for every possible scenario possible. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to practice for every situation possible. So if it means it's going to rain and we got to practice with the slip and slide and fire hose and we need to get down and dirty, yo, guess what? This is what we're doing today. Guess what? It's raining today. We're not going in the bubble. Cool. We're practicing in the rain. Cool. Get the fire hose out because it's not always a monsoon either. But, yo, get the fire hose out. Oh, we're going in the cold? Cool. We're going in the freezer. Like, why would you only practice for some of the events that you're going to have to see and not all of them? I don't understand that. Like, you should want to practice for every possible outcome.
How many cold weather teams have a boiler room to practice in?
Yeah, that's my point. No one has a freezer, though. That's my point. Like,
no.
We're the first team ever to do it.
That means
you're absolutely
no. How many cold weather teams have a boiler room to practice in?
I don't think any cold weather city teams have a environment that's climate controlled that can make it hot. I don't think any of them have that.
So why don't teams do that?
Yeah, I think they should. I think they should find a way. I absolutely think they should. So if Buffalo has a problem playing in the heat like they do against Miami, and I don't think it could be simulated, and that's why teams probably don't have it. I don't think you can simulate that, but we can simulate the cold. You can't
though.
You can.
You can't because you're practicing in
conditions.
What do you mean
you can't?
Because practicing isn't games. Because you're practicing 2020, all good, and then you're done. In a game, you're on the sideline and then you're back out, and then you're on the sideline and then you're back out. And even that game is like when you're playing in cold weather, you start to get hot, so you take the layers off. No matter how much you practice for it, it doesn't matter. The Dolphins have a mental. The Dolphins have a mental. Charlie, it doesn't.
Kadeem, you telling me?
Charlie. It's not even me saying this. Teron Armstead is saying this.
I'm telling. Teron said we don't have a cold weather issue, and I disagree respectfully with Teron Armstead. Listen, you're telling me as a quarterback, Tua Ningamano Olipolo Tagovailoa doesn't. You know what they do? They dip footballs in the trash cans before the snap and pull it out and throw it. Like, I need to know what it feels like to have a drenched football in my hands. They practice like that. So my thing is, the reason they're practicing for that is because they need to know how it feels before they get to a game time situation. How do you simulate that in the cold? You have to simulate it. Like, what I don't want is the whole season we don't have a cold weather team. We don't have a cold weather game because we got the Buffalo treatment. They adhere to our request and they don't give us a cold weather game. Then we go to Kansas City where it's below zero, and then Tua fills the ball for the second time ever because we lay it down in the Kansas City. He fills the ball and like, yo, I felt like I was throwing an ice brick. I only a brick of ice. I only felt that once in my life. Like, no, you need to feel like 10, 20, 40 more times so we could know what you can do with this brick of ice. But that's practice, bro. That's what you practice for.
But the thing is, even that Kansas City game, we both said it wasn't the weather conditions. We were battered and bruised. Like, we gave us no chance of going to that game.
Hold on. I want to be very clear. Yes, we went in there with like 14 players injured. It was crazy. It was anomaly for sure. But even when you watch Tua throw, it was like, yo, this is not gonna get it done. When Tua, and this is not a shot at Tua for not being able to throw in the cold weather like everyone else is going at him for, because those conditions were a bit wild. So, but at the same time, I think there was like a third down, bro, around the 40, 50 yard line in the middle of the field. He threw a pick, it was too high. I'm like, dang, I wonder if we had more reps in the cold, if we would have what you looking at me like that for, bro? I think that's a valid point. Why would you want more reps?
Two teams played in those conditions.
Yeah,
and Kansas had never played in that, because even Kansas.
No. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong.
Kansas
has played in cold weather games though.
No, that cold.
Yeah, no. But there's levels to the cold now. But what I'm saying, there we go. But I began at the 40 degree. Like, we need to practice in 40-degree weather, temperatures, climate. We need to practice in 40-degree temperatures, and we need to know what we can and cannot do, what plays we can and cannot execute in those temperatures. We need to know.
Hold on.
Because if not, hold on, Kadeem. If not, we're gonna wait till we get to a game to figure out what we can and cannot execute in that game.
It's an excuse, but like, we're given, like, again, both of those teams went to that game in conditions that should not have been played in. One team was healthy and got it done.
You went to the extreme of all extremes. You didn't go. What about Green Bay, Kadeem? What about Green Bay in Thanksgiving? Was that last year? That was last year, right? Yes, that was last year. Malik Washington fumbled, muffed the punt. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just about the quarterback. It's Malik Washington muffing punts. The first punt of the game changed the whole trajectory of the game. Green Bay gets the ball inside the 10.
I say this as someone who I'm genuinely really, really bad with states in the US. How cold is Georgia?
Basically Canada.
No. How cold is Georgia?
Where Canada is?
Yeah. I'm asking about Georgia. How cold is Georgia?
Georgia can get to the 40s. It's not rare. But Georgia has a dome.
No. But Malik Washington is from Georgia. Yeah. He's grown up in cold conditions and played football. Obviously, he didn't play college football in Georgia. He went to Northwestern and then Virginia. But he's from Georgia. Same way Tua played college in Alabama. And I'm pretty sure Bama's cold. If anything, Tyreek Hill was a Miami Dolphin for that game and came from Kansas City and had no issue playing in cold weather games in Kansas City. So how do you play? And again, it goes back to players who come from cold weather teams or cold weather conditions, join Miami and forget to play in the cold.
I disagree. Kadeem, what y'all? I think in London y'all say acclimatized, and we say acclimated, right? So if I'm over here in the sunny state of Florida, and you know what? Yeah, I lived in Florida my whole life, and then I go to Green Bay and I play for the Green Bay Packers for 4 seasons, and then I got to go play in Florida. That humidity is going to hit me different, even though I was born and raised in Florida. I've been in Green Bay for 4 years. So it doesn't just carry over because I was born Alec Ingo is from Green Bay. He's from Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? You don't think you know what? I've been on the Dolphins for a few years. I forgot how cold it is in the frozen tundra. So my question to you, Kadeem, is why do teams go to cold weather cities a day or two earlier to practice in? Why do they do that?
To get used to the conditions.
Oh, okay. You know what, Your Honor? I rest my case on that one.
No, you don't. Because my case, Charlie.
Why are you going early to get used to the conditions?
Charlie, we had this exact same conversation when I talk about teams going to like travel for the World Cup, and you go early to acclimatize for the conditions. And guess what? Some teams still poop their pants because they're bad teams. It doesn't matter about the conditions. If you take the USA and place them somewhere where like they can be there for a year, take the USA. I don't know. What would you say the average temperature in the USA is? Average, I would say it's 83 degrees. Average, if I had to guess. So that's pretty warm.
I had to guess.
That's pretty warm, right?
Yeah, it's warm.
Yeah. If you take the USA to go play in the UK in December, but you give the USA a whole year in the UK to get ready, or you build them a perfect dome or a perfect building to get ready for that game, Charlie, I guarantee England is going to beat the brakes off the USA because they are a bad team. You can acclimatize as much as you want. The Dolphins were a bad team and they were injured and they just got the brakes beaten off them. And it happens every single time they go to cold weather teams because they are a bad team. And it's the same way the Dolphins. I would put money on the Dolphins with Tua going to a really, 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 really cold paper planes and beating the brakes off them because the paper planes are a bad team. That's just how my Miami are.
So what you're telling me is you don't want to give your team every chance to win.
That's what that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying,
but you didn't give them every chance to win. If you have the chance to build a facility like you, Kadeem, I'm using your words.
No, you're not.
Hold on. I didn't get there. I didn't get there. I didn't say it. Let me get there. Let me land the plane. You said teams travel early to the city to get acclimated to the weather, to get used to the conditions.
Yeah,
they travel a day or two earlier. When we played, the Dolphins played Pittsburgh in the playoffs with Adam Gase. And everyone was like, yo, why didn't you go to Pittsburgh earlier so you can get used to the weather? You said teams travel early to get used to the conditions. My next question would be, is there not a way that we can simulate those conditions before going a day or two earlier? And if there is, how come you did not do it? You're saying, oh, because it doesn't matter. I say build the freezer. So therefore, you're not doing everything you can possibly do.
If you want to do everything you can possibly do, build a super team. That's what the Dolphins need to do. Build a super team.
No, bro.
What do you mean no? Charlie, do everything you can. F those picks, bring in a super team.
What's that got to do with preparing for the conditions of a game, the temperature of a game?
Because you know what? The same way we've got Washington this year in Spain, and the teams are either going to go out a week early or a day early. And you know what? It's going to make no difference. The better team on the day is going to win. And I know that.
Bro. I disagree because the best team doesn't win every game.
Of course,
and that's in a dome condition.
Of course. But Charlie, as someone who's I've interviewed teams who have tried to come a week early to London or a day early, and you know what? It doesn't matter no more. It doesn't matter no more. Teams can't work out. Do we go a week early or do we go a day early? Because there's no like science behind it. It's not like every single team that goes a week early wins. You just never know. And Charlie, we sat here after that game. We didn't even talk about the conditions. We said the reason the Dolphins lost is because they had no defensive line. The team was beat up to a pulp. And we asked them.
I did not say we lost because of the cold, though. I agree. We did not lose that game because of the cold, but that offense was not it. That offense was not it in that cold weather. Now, I'm not saying we lost that game because of the offense, but it contributed. The lack of offense contributed. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna be real with you. I would die on this hill. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. We need to build a freezer. We need to give our team every single possibility, everything possible, so they can prepare for it. That's it. Like that's the hill I'm willing to die on. I had something else I was going to say, but I forgot it. You want to read what Coach Eric Smith just said?
Yeah. Sorry. There's quite a few comments, and obviously Charlie and I were going back and forth, so we weren't ignoring any of you. It's just. Yeah, so we have Cap for Life said, didn't our quarterback go to Maryland to train in the cold? I generally don't know that. I can try and find it.
Because Tua's brother was in Maryland, so he went out to see his brother, and they took some snaps with the cold bucket and ice in the cold.
Thank you so much. Eric Smith said, where in the country is there a freezer big enough to practice football?
There isn't one.
You can crank up the AC, but you're not simulating below freezing, snow, and wind with an indoor.
Hold on. Let me address this because he asked a question. He asked a question, and I've been saying this for a while. There isn't one, Coach. And I'm saying the Dolphins need to build the first one. And it doesn't have to be some massive structure. It can be the bubble, like the Dolphins had in Davie. It could be the bubble. And I'm going to give you an example. I have worked on many jobs where, there's frozen foods. And in these freezers, imagine Walmart, your local Walmart, or your local supermarket for those across the pond. Imagine your local supermarket, but it's only frozen foods in that supermarket. So the whole supermarket is frozen, and you have to wear coats and sweaters and face masks just to walk into the supermarket. Your base or your corner store, your gas station, where they sell alcohol, where they sell alcohol, it's refrigerated. So now certain parts of the gas station, you have to walk into they suit up with jackets just to walk into the refrigerated area. So what I'm saying is build a bubble, but it's refrigerated. It's a refrigerated bubble. It is not hard to do, if I'm being honest with you. Now, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yo, I don't understand why we didn't do this 20 years ago. And then I don't understand why every football team hasn't done it. So it can be done, but no, you can't simulate the cold. You can't simulate ice and slowing down how much you run and everything. But you can simulate, yo, it is freezing in here. How am I going to play in freezing temperatures? You can simulate that.
Cap said, when McDaniel broke out, I wish it was colder t-shirts. He also dropped the AC temperature in the bubble to try and simulate cold weather. Coach Smith said, unless Mike was called in practice in his parka, sneaking in his vape to keep warm, just cranking up the AC isn't close to what it's really like. Shout out to IMAX, says, drop the temperature really low in the indoor practice facility with a humidifier to simulate cold weather conditions. We can get down into the 20s at least twice a year during the winter, but they play in a dome. Eric said another factor is the wind. It's kind of like heat, humidity. Just cranking up the heat doesn't simulate Miami heat, humidity. Cranking up the AC doesn't simulate the wind that usually comes with the cold. More cost effective, build a team that can win versus other good teams regardless of conditions, or build the biggest ice box just in case you're not good enough to get home field advantage. Imagine the blowback if they build the Charlie Icebox and Miami still loses a sub 40 because they're not as good as the other team. And
the Charlie Icebox. And I'd appreciate that though, because we've tried everything we can do.
And you know what? This is one of the situations where I'm never going to sit here and go, I want you to be wrong, Charlie. I would love nothing more for the Dolphins to build this facility, win games, and for you to go, I told you so. Charlie, I promise you, I would sit there with a t-shirt saying, Charlie was right, I am wrong, and I would never question him again. That is what I would love to happen. I also know, and it's basically what Eric said, or Coach Eric, apologies, Coach. They just need to find a way to build a team that can win. It doesn't matter conditions, because all that's going to happen is it's going to be, oh, it was too cold. Or if it's Buffalo, oh, it was too hot when they come to Miami. And it's just like, you just have to find a way.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because the game we played in Buffalo, and they were throwing ice at us on the sideline, and we went from pillar to post and took them boys to the last bell, the final bell, and Tua balled out, and everyone had declared, okay, he could play in the cold. Remember that game, Kadeem?
100%.
It was a game. So I feel you on that, and we did well. But what I'm saying is there's a reason why teams turn up the fake crowd stadium noise in practices. There's a reason why teams do all of these things to simulate a game environment. Why are we just omitting that one, the temperature part of the game environment? You see what I'm saying? So, shout out to, I guess I am. Shout out to Sean O'Malley. He's a UFC fighter, MMA fighter. And when he was sparring in rounds before we go into overtime. He was sparring and, doing his rounds and everything. He had a championship fight coming up. He knew it was going to be the toughest fight of his career. And not only did they try to simulate the crowd noise, so they're sparring in practice, and they turned all the noise up in the gym. Not only did they do that, they simulated the walkout. Like, how loud it is going to be during the walkout. He's walking to the octagon. You know what I'm saying? In practice. You feel me? They try to simulate all the conditions, the wait time, how much time between walkout to bell when the fight starts, all of it. If you're going to simulate all of these conditions as a professional, regardless of the sport, how can you just omit the temperature, the climate? So bro, if it can be done, you didn't do it. If it cannot be done, I understand it. But you cannot sit there and say, I'm doing everything I can in my power to prepare my team to win if you're not doing everything you can in your power to prepare your team to win. That's all I got. And I'll give it to you before we go out on overtime, because I don't want to just walk out like that and drop.
No, Charlie, I get it. I genuinely get it. My only comeback is there's 31 other teams who my understanding of the NFL and where teams play and all that kind of stuff is you either play in a dome, and at that point you kind of have no say in this matter, like you're over there, it doesn't matter, or you play in the hot or you play in the cold. And if you play in the cold, no one has, for lack of a better phrase, a boiler room. And if you play in the warm, no one has a freezer. And I think that's why there's part of an argument which is like, hey, play all games in the dome so it's all fair and all that kind of stuff. My argument is I genuinely understand where you're coming from. My issue will always be I genuinely don't think it's a cold weather issue. It's a good team issue. And we both have our examples for both sides of the argument. If Tua had won that game in the snow against Buffalo, I don't think we're having this conversation anymore because, like, hey, we can. The conversation.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I don't think if we won that, and for another thing, like we didn't look great against Green Bay last year either. So if we lost that, if we won those games, if we won against the Buffalo game, which was a game, that was a game, bro. In Buffalo, they're throwing ice at us. We should have won it. But if we won that game, and we, you know, people gave Tua his flowers, and we lost that game. So it was okay. He can play in the cold. That doesn't matter to me, Kadeem. My thing is, if you know, like, you need to prepare your team. It's not about, oh, we can't play in cold weather. It's like, this is regular preparation. If you know it's going to be raining the week prior, if you know you're going to Chicago and it's going to be a downpour in September, by the way, it's going to be hot and raining. Yo, you're going to get the fire hoses out on week 1. So it's not about a good team or a bad team. It's about preparation. That's it. It has nothing to do with if we're playing the Paper Planes or we're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. You should want to prepare your team for every single thing you're about to face that next week. And that's so. We could be good. Matter of fact, we could go 5-0 in the next 5 cold weather games. I'm still going to say we should have it.
I get that, but yeah, like it's an endless back and forth because my argument is always going to be when Buffalo or Green Bay builds their boiler room, then cool. But I'm not saying we shouldn't.
Why we gotta wait? Why can't we be the trendsetters?
No. I think it's not about being the trendsetters, and it's honestly, it isn't even a shot at you. But for whatever reason, there's 32 NFL owners with billions of dollars and can build whatever they want, and they've all decided it doesn't make sense to do this. For whatever reason, they've all decided, for the most part, it doesn't make sense to build a.
We don't know that. We don't know that they even considered it. We don't even know that they even thought of it. We can't say that they all decided, oh, we're not going to do that.
But my assumption is, if no one has, not just the 32 owners right now, previous owners, all that kind of stuff, if no one has ever thought, hey, why not build a dome to simulate cold or hot weather? Charlie, go on Dragon's Den. Dude, I'm serious. Like, go on Dragon's Den and pitch it, because there's no way you're the only person who's thought of this. There's no way.
Once upon a time, there wasn't any domes in professional sports and professional football. And someone said, hey, we need to build a dome. And it happened. So somewhere along the line, someone's going to say, hey, we need to change something up here. And shout out to whoever it was who created the field, retractable field, where, yo, we don't have to have the field in the stadium. We can retract the field outside of the stadium to even treat it. Someone came up with that idea. You know what I'm saying? So
1968.
All right. Yo, it's bro. We just, hey, matter of fact, Coach, I'm gonna get to your question on the other side. He said, what would be the benefit of the Charlie Icebox versus traveling early? You're not gonna use it outside of December and January. We'll get to that in overtime. Hey, we appreciate everybody rocking with us, man. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting.
Enjoying the episode so far? Whether you're watching in the comfort of your own home or on the Go Time Dolphins is where you want to be for your fix on all things Dolphins. So hit that like button, drop a comment below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to help us keep growing and reaching more Phins fans around the world.
So Coach Smith said, yeah, what would be the benefit of Charlie Icebox fee traveling early? You're not going to use it outside of December and January.
Maximizing preparation. That is it. You might not use it for 4 months out of the season, but the most important game of the season is that one game. And you got to use it. Like, again, when you're in the playoffs, when you're in the playoffs and you got to play that cold, if you got to go to Baltimore, you got to go to Buffalo, you got to go to Kansas City. It's not about like, oh, we didn't use this all season. Like, nah, bro, because chances are you're probably going to use it 3 or 4 times in the season. You're probably going to use it 3 or 4 times in the season. That's why I say make it a bubble. It doesn't have to be a big structure. You know what I'm saying? And so for Coach's question, the other part of that question was, why don't you travel early those 3 or 4 times? And I think when you travel early, you lose time in preparation. You lose a day of your preparation. And there's only like 3 days, maybe, of preparation before you to get to the game. So now you got to travel early. I don't like the idea of messing up the routine, the sleep schedule, the schedule, the travel schedule. Like, yo, everyone knows your creature of habit. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep the habits the same. Just practice. Yo, we're in the bubble today, folks. Oh, we're outside today, folks. That's easier than hey, we're traveling early today or this week. I don't look.
No. So that's
hey, look, I'm not saying this is gonna help. Actually, I am saying it's gonna help, but I'm not saying that this is the end all be all to teams winning in cold weather. But it is the end all be all the teams being prepared in cold weather games.
But again, this is where I disagree, and I can understand where Coach Smith is coming from. If say, okay, so we played on a Sunday, we've got the Bengals cold weather, right?
Yeah, that's another. I'm glad.
No. Let me finish. So you got the Bengals on a Sunday. So you played on a Sunday, you've got the Bengals on a Sunday. You're going to lose a day traveling regardless, correct?
Right.
So I understand creature of habit, all that kind of stuff. If you travel on the Monday instead of, I guess, the Friday, yeah, you haven't lost it. Like, the day travel is still gone. You've now got the rest of the week to acclimatize and get ready.
And now you're not even home no more. Now this whole week. Now we're traveling for a whole week. This is not a regular week. That's not a regular game week.
Hold on. 1, you're not traveling for the whole week. You're traveling for one day. 2, that's the exact same issue every team has.
It's not like you said leave on Monday, Kadeem.
Yeah, leave on Monday. Yeah.
What team leaves on Monday?
If
you're gone for a week. You're not gone for a day.
No, but so when you said traveling, I thought you meant like traveling back and forth. I mean, you've gone to a new place. Okay, so prime example, when do you think the Dolphins should travel to Spain?
Your Honor, I believe that's irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant.
It is irrelevant because we're not traveling across the world literally on a playoff game for a playoff game.
Hold on, you're talking about acclimatizing to so how
you went to the extreme of all extremes. Like you went to below 30 below zero as opposed to 30 above zero. You're going to across the world, 44,000 miles, 4,400 miles across the world as opposed to 700 miles.
I said going to Cincinnati. Miles. I didn't mention anything about how cold it's going to be. I said you got a game.
That's the premise of the conversation. How cold it's going to be.
But we're also talking about acclimatizing and getting ready to maximize. I can't remember.
All right, go with your question. I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Thank you so much. So if you're the Dolphins and you go into Spain, when would you travel?
I'm not sure. I haven't put any thought into that.
But okay, so if you want them to acclimatize, to get used to not just the time difference, but the general atmosphere, the temperatures, all that kind of stuff, when would the best time to travel
In
be?
my unprofessional opinion, we're talking about going to Spain. I want to leave. What game we got the day before that? We have the week before that we play Buffalo on a 1 p.m. game home. I want to leave the next day. The very next day. Fly away. Like you only have to do it once a year. This is a one-time thing. It's a one-off game. You're going to Spain. Go as early as possible. Allow the players to soak it in. Like, yo, this is special. Shout out to all right, not shout out to him because I didn't remember his name. So we're not gonna shout him out and I'm gonna save face. But anyway, you're going to Spain and you want your players to, hey, it's a little bit more than just a game. You're the first team to ever do this. Go to Spain. This is the first time you ever seen this country before. Sometimes for some of the players, it's the first time you've ever been outside the country. Go ahead, get acclimated, soak in the city. Cool. Appreciate this a little bit. This is a little different from a playoff game. That's a cold weather playoff game or a cold weather must-win play-in game to make the playoffs. It's a little bit different than that.
But then I would then throw back to you, for some players playing the playoffs, it could be their first time. Not for most, it's probably not. Dolphins, most of this team have been to playoffs. They haven't won, but I think the general point I'm making is, and it goes back to what Coach Smith was saying. If you know that at least once or twice a year you got to go to a colder place, instead of building an entire facility, just travel early. Like that, to me, it's not the exact same thing, but if you're going to give yourself the best time to do it, and it's why sometimes some NFL teams, if they do have like a West Coast game or an East Coast game, they will travel early because, like, hey, we're going to get out of the way and we're going to give our body 7 days to get used to the time difference as opposed to 16 hours or however long.
And now you're taking your players out of their element, and I don't want that. I want them to be in their element. I don't want their schedule to be broken up. I just want them to practice in cold weather. That schedule that you're putting them in 2 times a year, 3 times a year, once a year, maybe, who knows? You're switching up every single thing that they have done for the entire year. And this one important game, by the way, you're gonna make them do something different. I don't like that concept. I got a question for you though.
So very, very quickly, it's really interesting you say that. That's why some teams, when they were traveling to the UK, they were going the very last minute, and it got to the point where teams were bringing their own toilet paper to try and keep everything the same. And guess what?
I don't know if that's why we were bringing our own toilet paper.
No. Seriously, I spoke to coaches and players. I was like, not so much player, but coaches was like, hey, we're going to try to bring our own toilet paper because again, they didn't want to leave nothing to chance. Like,
I think it was more so they believe the quality of toilet paper is different over there than over here, and then they just wanted to bring their own. Like, I don't think it was hey, let's try to keep everything the same. Like, I don't think that was
Charlie, I love you. Genuinely, coaches said it was for that reason.
Hey, maybe they didn't want to disrespect the Londoner, Kadeem.
And that's fine, but I'm going off what they said. But again, it goes back.
I've also heard that though, Kadeem. But we'll continue. Go ahead.
What was your question? Because we're going to go a pivot about what's the best toilet paper.
No. You were trying to mention that basically leaving a week or a day before a London game, a day before an international game.
The other point I'm making again is teams don't know what works best. They've tried going a week, they tried going a day, and I'll be interested to see, because again, some teams, if they've got a West Coast or an East Coast game, they will travel straight away because, like, hey, we want to give our players the most. And again, it's, I guess, because I'm a Londoner, the time difference and the distance traveled for some games is insane. The UK doesn't have that, but I kind of feel like, like, this wasn't meant to be an episode about this, and it's a shame that we have to discuss this because the Dolphins can't win in cold weather, regardless of the reason.
So the Spain game is going to be cold. That is November 16th. The Paper Plains game at Paper Plains, December 7th. That's going to be cold. and the Steelers at Pittsburgh, December 15th is going to be cold, and New England, January, first week of January, it doesn't have a date. Week 18, that's also going to be cold. There's going to be a time, Kadeem, where this schedule, and this is as good as it gets. Like, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 cold weather games out of our last 7. That's a legitimate. This is 4 out of the last 7 games are going to be cold weather games, and that's going into the playoffs. So if you don't win a division, you're probably going to have another cold weather game coming out of the regular season. So now you got 5 cold weather games in your last 8. One of them a playoff game. Shout out to everybody who said we don't need a freezer. Here's my question, Kadeem, for you. Why not? Why are you so opposed against the freezer when you can just say, yeah, you know what? Let's do everything we can. Why are you so opposed to it? Like, why is it a no for you?
Because when I say why not travel early to do everything we can, you go, no, don't do that.
Okay, so your answer is because I'd rather travel early then.
No, it's not that. It's just that it's funny. It's my draw the line of doing everything I can to win a game is building a multi-million-pound freezer. And I'm not saying this is your line.
I don't even think it's a multi-million dollars, bro. I honestly, it's probably $1 million. It's all right. You can make it as much as you want. You can spend as much as you want. But I believe it's less than, bro. These buildings, bro. All right, yeah. You know what? I think it's less than $1 million, and it'll probably cost $1 million.
You know what?
But it's $1 million, bro.
Even if it's $10,000, even if it costs you $10,000, yeah. My line in the sand. I've literally pen. Look, I've got a pen. See the pen? I'm drawing a line. Look at the paper. The pen's not working, bro. How the pen not working?
See, because it's not a good idea.
There's a sand. See the sand? I'm drawing a line. I've drawn a line in the sand. My line in the sand is building a dome or whatever you want to call it. I'm sitting here past midnight. It's currently Saturday, the 28th of June for me. Your line in the sand seems to be traveling early. Hey, no need to travel early.
All right. Coach Eric Smith says 5 out of the last 8 games in cold weather sounds like a good runway to get acclimated. Listen, to each his own. I don't understand why we're not doing everything we could possibly do in our power, but I'm just saying that's it. I'm good here. We're good here.
I had a genuine question for bonus time, because it's something which, and I'll keep it short. Something in the UK we do not have at all, but I am fascinated by it, and I have seen the genuine progression over the last 3 or 4 years in the States. Charlie, I love spelling bees. I absolutely love spelling bees. You've got these like 11, 12, 13-year-old kids spelling words I have never, ever heard of. And they're there. Can I get sorry. They're there like the little lanyards on. Can I get the language of origin? What does it mean? And any other pronunciations? And they're there.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Charlie isn't the best thing in the whole entire world. Charlie, me, Hannah Montana, and Miami Micah 2 nights ago on YouTube, a 3-hour spelling bee. And we're both sitting there going, oh my days, how did they get that word? Charlie, I don't think you understand. I love spelling bees.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I feel you, Kadeem. Are you onto something, bro? And I never considered like finding one to tune into, because every time I see a clip of one, or scroll across one of social media, I'm glued in. So you onto something, bro, because one can argue that's a sport.
100%. So I need to know, for everyone in the comments, and you Charlie, you don't tell me right now, were you ever a part of a spelling bee, and how far did you get?
I was a part of a spelling bee, and I want to say the 3rd grade, and I was the runner-up in the spelling bee, and I think like the last word that I got right was dinosaur. The 2nd grade, 3rd grade. You know what I'm saying? And then I forgot the word that took me out. But it was a long time ago. I was like, yeah, it's bro. You just put me on, Kadeem. Spelling bees is where it's at.
Charlie, I'm going to send you a link on the spelling bee I was watching. Charlie, this thing is amazing. It's honestly, I wouldn't go as far as I would travel to the States to watch the spelling bee live. But if I'm in the States and there is one and I'm allowed to go watch it, I would have to do it. I think it's one of the most fascinating things you guys do. I love spelling bees.
Hey, did you see the ESPN used to show this all the time? There's this one kid where it was the spelling. Matter of fact, ESPN used to show like the finalists of the spelling bees and they'll in the top 10 plays of the week, and they stopped doing this for whatever reason. But there's one reaction this kid had, and this was like later on in the rounds, like championship rounds. It wasn't for the final, I don't think, but he asked all the questions. You know what I'm saying? And asked the same questions again too. Like, oh no, can I get that question back? You feel me? And he got it right, and his eyes like wide open, and he almost stumbled. He almost fainted that he got it right, bro. That was like one of the best reactions I ever seen. Like, and he almost fainted. I don't know his name, but I wonder where he is now. Actually, like, yeah, you know what, Kadeem? Spelling bees is where it's at. You shout out to you, bro. I know we disagreed on this podcast for the like past 30 minutes, but we agree here.
Guys, let me know your best performance in the spelling bee, and until then, hold on. Coach Eric Smith, I was in a spelling bee, I think in 7th grade. I didn't make it past our school competition. Can't remember the word that got me, but I remember being pissed that it got me. Yo, like I'm fascinated. Also, like, again, it's not for now, but I need to know how you practice for a spelling bee, because there's so many words in the English dictionary, and like, to me, you can't.
Are they only English words though? Because they say language of origin, and then some of this, like I could think of some off the top of my head. Is it English? Like, what we doing here?
I'm pretty sure it's English, but so it's like so many English words or American words are kind of like based from Latin or have some kind of like Greek origin. So yeah, but no, like I need to know how you practice for a spelling bee, because we spoke about putting yourself in the best conditions. I need to know that these kids are standing there in their kitchens, with the little lanyards on in front of a fake mic, and it's just, yeah. The kid that was asking all the questions was just using all of his resources, like the box.
I like it. Bro. Saying, hey, I bet you when they prepared, Kadeem, they were. I bet you, just like you said, why wear the lanyard? You know what I'm saying? You just got to get used to it. You got to get used to the environment, and their mom and dad firing away. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, bro, I like it, bro. You want to use all your resources. Guys, use all of your resources for the rest of the week. Until then, we shall see you soon. Peace.